Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Altan. Okay, so hello, everyone, once more. Thank you all for joining day 2 of Blockchain Community Days 2023. We hope you are enjoying the program so far. Thank you, everybody who has stayed with us from the previous talk that has just ended a couple of minutes ago. And I am very excited today to introduce you to embracing the future of Web3 with Near's blockchain operating system, and Altan Tutar. Before we get into it, though, I'd like to make a couple of notes. First of all, we are recording this session, so if you're not okay with that, the recording will be at your disposal next week to watch it, and you will be able to ask your question even post talk when the recording will be available. Second of all, the session will last for about 45 minutes. Altan's presentation probably between half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we'll have a short Q&A session at the end. So feel free to post your questions in the chat on We Are Community on YouTube. And if you want, you could upvote the ones that are most interesting to you so that we also know what to pick out and understand what our audience wants to get an answer to. So without further ado, Web3 and blockchain have been greatly expanding in the past few years. So if you are working in the industry, you're probably very aware of it. It's everywhere. And to speak more about the latest advancements, and particularly about Near's Foundation's recent announcement of their blockchain operating system, we have Altan, who is their business partner. So as far as I understood, Altan has a double major in computer science and mathematics and a master's degree from Imperial College London, where he has researched AI and its applications in robotics, and is currently helping the business development team at the Near Foundation with partnership acquisitions and technical insights. So thank you, Altan, for joining us today. And the floor is yours.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for that introduction. I'm Altan. I'm the partner in the Near Foundation. What I do is mainly sort of helping our team focus and understand the technical developments on the Near protocol side. Just to give you a bit of an introduction to the Near Foundation and the Near protocol. Near protocol was founded by Ilya Polushkin, who is one of the authors of the Attention is All You Need paper. That the paper is actually one of the landmarks in artificial intelligence, being the sort of the first paper to introduce transformers that is pivotal in LLMs today. So the mainnet launch was in 2020, and after the mainnet launch, Near Foundation was formed, and we are we're an enabler in the ecosystem. We fund projects. We help the projects that come to Near, and we also help them market. So if you follow our Twitter accounts and LinkedIn accounts as well, we always make announcements as to who are building in the Near protocol and help them sort of understand the ecosystem better. So as you guys mentioned, we just announced the blockchain operating system in April in consensus. Near used to be Near is still a major layer one that is highly scalable. It is a sharded blockchain, meaning that we can actually increase these shards to sustain the increasing number of transactions that's going through the chain. We are currently around sort of 800,000 to 1 million monthly active users on the blockchain. But what we're trying to do with the blockchain operating system is to take one step further, not only limit ourselves in the layer one space, but also we want to enable decentralized applications to be on a one platform. So I'll start with that. So agenda is, I'll briefly talk about what problems the blockchain operating is solving. We see that there's a lot of sort of applications to pain points for brands and enterprises for the blockchain operating system. I'll touch on that briefly. Then I'll introduce what blockchain operating system is, what are the key features that it has, what are some of our partners building on the BOSS today, even though it's been a month, how you can leverage the BOSS after this presentation. And if we have some chance, I'll love to give a couple of demos, but let's see how that would work. And finally, appendix would include some of the resources that are relevant to this presentation. So as we discussed, we have a strong team that is versed in Web2 and Web3, and we have been seeing some themes across both of these categories. In Web2, there's the big problem of censoring front ends. We've seen that with Tornado Cash last year, and we've been seeing that again and again, that front ends being censored. BOSS is trying to solve that with a decentralized front ends that is stored on a blockchain. There's the problem of user retention. It's hard to get the users to stay in a platform. That is something that we're considering as part of our vision with the blockchain operating system. And the most importantly, we don't own our data and we don't own our privacy. And that's something that we are trying to tackle with the blockchain operating system and with the vision that we have with Web3, that users are able to control their data, monetize their data, and have the ability to not to give their privacy to the major platforms. On the Web3 side, if you look at different blockchains today, there's the problem of fragmentation. If you go to Ethereum, you have your different wallets, different protocols, and the users are very fragmented across the board. If you go to Solana, you have a different wallet. If you go to Tezos, that also has a different wallet. We've seen that play out from 2020, that there's an increased fragmentation in the space, and that's what the BOSS is trying to solve for. And obviously discoverability. If I like to find an application that is trying to, let's say a DeFi application, it is hard for me to go through Google search and understand where these applications live, and the distribution channels are not very well defined. And on the multi-chain re-engagement part is that, it is, people get it sucked into one ecosystem and they keep staying there. And across all these sort of buckets, obviously in the intersection, we see a couple of themes that's playing out as a problem. So infrastructure management is one. If you see on the Web2 side and Web3 side, there's a couple of technologies that we use, especially in Web3, where we store our front ends on the AWS, but then we do all the other different stacks and tools that live on the blockchain side. So integrating them is a bit of a hard problem. And the cross platform, we see the same thing with the wallets. It's usually very easy to integrate with wallets on the browser, but when you go to the mobile, there's a lot of developers and companies that face the issue. And compliance is a big one that we are seeing across the board, that it's hard to comply with all the jurisdictions given some restrictions on the blockchain. And also onboarding is something that we deeply care about, given wallets are really hard to use. It's really hard to save the seed phrases for users, and we see that a lot of people get to the funnel of using Web3 technologies, but then they fail to commit to those technologies because of the barrier to entry is very high. So a couple of pain points that we see we're solving with the blockchain operating system before we introduce the concept is the development experience and cost. As I mentioned, it's a very segmented development experience across Web2 and Web3. It is also really hard to find and retain versatile engineers. In the case of Near, for example, starting from 2020, you need to have someone that is very capable in Rust, which is not a common skill that you find across the board. That also requires other engineers to integrate on the front end with JavaScript. And also, we see a lot of sort of different tools to develop, test, and deploy web applications across the board as well. That could be Vercel on the front end. So the problem is that it is high cost with all these technologies being all over the place, and it's also hard to find developers that can build things really fast with a couple of different stacks. The other important thing is market access. There's a really high cost for Web2 users to become Web3 users. That's something we deeply care about. And it's also hard to find new users acquisition funnels for applications, especially for Web3, where people go to one application, have a wallet, use that application, then they get stuck there. The cost of acquisition is quite high at this point, with we pay a lot of money to acquire users via social media and other forms of marketing. And the other part is, especially for Web2 brands, is that there's no incentive for users to convert them into retained users. The fourth part is obviously censorship resistance. We've had a lot of hard problems with the Apple App Store. That's mainly through the NFT and fungible token contracts. And these are usually used by applications that leverage them to offer some services. And we've seen it takes a lot of time to test and publish these applications. And it's also hard to comply with multiple jurisdictions in terms of there's GDPR in Europe. And if you go to other jurisdictions, you come across usually that law that sort of restricts some of these applications. And the final two are customer retention. Especially for some brands, they could get sort of like real life value, but taking that and converting that to online value is very hard. And the other problem that we think is very important is the hard to have crypto for non-crypto users. Then Near used to be that you had to stake some sort of Near to be able to interact with the blockchain. We're evolving that and solving that with the blockchain operating system. And finally, the revenue. It's really hard to generate money in the internet beyond selling a product for a lot of brands. And it's usually that there's also these secondary marketplaces that have no royalty fees on the internet that the blockchains could solve for with some of the features that we've seen in NFT marketplaces. So what's the blockchain operating system? It is a common layer for browsing and discovering open web experiences that's compatible with any blockchain. If you go to near.org, which is our main website today, that's the sort of the V0 version of the blockchain operating system. And hopefully in the future, we'll have a bit of a roadmap as to what will be changing within the structure and how it will be evolving in the future. Before we dive into the stack, let me just define some of these important nouns that we need to understand the blockchain operating system. So obviously blockchains, it could be any blockchains that we can think about. It's the smart contract layer that any logic could be built. Then we have obviously the middleware, where it's usually the APIs that sit in the Web2 stack, but in the Web3 stack, that would be more of RPCs, more of the indexers and streamers, all the sort of the logic that takes some input from the blockchains and show it to the front ends. And user interfaces, in a normal stack, that would be a website, but we have the discoverable front end components that we actually write them on the Near blockchain. And we have a React virtual machine that could take that code and render it for us. And finally, onboarding, that is in the Web2 sort of way of thinking about the emails that you use, on the authentication that you use. But mainly for us, it's wallets and authentication methods that allows you to sign up, log in, and interact with the user interfaces. This is a bit of how we envision that future, right? So on the blockchain layer, the most important ones to know is you can have an option to select Near or Ethereum or other blockchains that we will support in the future. Then you have the middleware and user interfaces. The most important ones on the Near blockchain operating system is FastAuth, which is a Web2 login that I'll show later in the slides. So what is the blockchain operating system? Well, we see that as a sort of a low-cost unified development experience that solves many problems that we've mentioned before, this sort of segmented development experience. This is also a bit of a simple onboarding experience. We think that you don't need a wallet to be able to interact with the blockchain. That blockchain operating solves with the onboarding problem. It has the sort of capability to do so. Obviously, some developers might still want MetaMask. We still support that. And the final part is it's the one-stop shop for discovery. So you can go to this one page where you can discover all applications built on the blockchain operating system. And then finally, it's a fast way to go to market. When you build on the blockchain operating system, it is discoverable by default. So any user can, if you're building an NFT marketplace, they can go and search for that and find that application. So in the left-hand side, I can show you how sort of Near is envisioning this sort of unified development experience. We believe that we can fit all of that stack in sort of Near tools, right? On the front-end side, you can write that code to the Near blockchain. On the middleware side, we have our sort of RPCs, indexers, streamers, notification services that allows us to connect to the smart contract layer. And the most important thing is, well, in the smart contract layer, we used to think that when you go back to 2020 or even 2018, all the smart contracts were written in Solidity, which is a programming language that a lot of Web2 developers are not aware of. But now we're changing that to introduce sort of the JS SDK, the JavaScript SDK. Almost 30 million developers are sort of, they can write JavaScript, and therefore they can write smart contracts, and Rust as well, that we think is a very sort of a secure and a bit more advanced language that can empower the decentralized applications. And simple onboarding experience. So we have FastAuth, which is a sort of a one-time onboarding with just a link. It also sort of registers your biometrics. So if you're using near.org on the phone, you can sign up, you give your biometrics, you go back to your email, you verify, and you're just logged into a decentralized application without needing a seed phrase. The cool thing about this sort of experience is that we can also have an email recovery with multi-party compute, which means that if you lose your phone, you can actually retrieve your account through a trusted party. Let that be your friend or your family. And the most important part is that you don't need to go to an exchange or get a bridge to get started. If you sign up for near.org today, and if you interact with the social feed there, you're actually spending near when you sign and do things on the application, but you're not actually have to sign all these transactions, which we think is important for the next phase of Web3. At One-Stop Shop, again, if you go to near.org applications, there's a couple of apps that you can check out, and you can find NFT marketplaces there. You can find other sort of applications that you think could be interesting. We also have a Lido app there that is basically having the ability to log in with a Near account, link that to an Ethereum account, and then stake Ethereum from a Near decentralized front end. And the other part is about the blockchain operating system is every part, just like React components, every part of the application could be abstracted and could be published in open source. So let's say that I built a widget that I think other people can use, similar to the open source logic. Somebody can take that code and put that into their application and able to create multi-chain experiences. So you can think about a token-gated Ethereum application or Ethereum component built with combined with a Near game that potentially uses the sort of the fast scalable chain from Near layer 1 with very important Ethereum NFTs. So it is a truly multi-chain experience. Some of the key features I mentioned about fast auth, that is one thing that we're introducing with the blockchain operating system. The main important thing is to remember is no seed phrases and just a magic link to log in. KeyPalm is another sort of feature that is unique to Near. We had account abstraction from the start of the protocol from 2020. Now what you can do is you can actually have an instant app sign in. You can get a link, just like you see on the right on the GIF. You can actually create a Near account instantly. Now I'm doing that on the right side. You log in to the application, and this would be a trial account. So let's say an enterprise gives you this link. You do a couple of different things, given, let's say, 0.5 Near, and then you go through sort of account creation process with FastAuth or any other wallet that you want to do. They currently have a JavaScript SDK, meaning all the applications can easily integrate with it. And finally, sort of composable decentralized frontends. We think that sort of Boss allows us to build frontends like Lego blocks, and not only like Lego blocks like from GitHub, but also comes with sort of decentralized and censorship resistance properties of the Near blockchain. You can also discover Boss built applications and components on near.org today. And finally, you can have this seamless end-to-end development with Near tools integrating with Ethereum and others, right? So you can find these components, you can fork them, change them according to your needs, and being able to push that really fast rather than finding these pieces on GitHub and downloading to your local machine, finding how to integrate. So they're very easy to integrate from start. So who are the partners building on the blockchain operating system? So Mintbase is a great example. I dropped a link here, and I'll share the slides after this talk. But mainly what they've built is a NFT marketplace widget. So Mintbase is a NFT marketplace on Near. You can list your NFTs on their platform, and instead of sending users to Mintbase, what you can do is get this widget, changing according to your needs, and just put it like a PayPal widget to your application. So users coming to your application can just buy it directly from your front end rather than going to Mintbase's front end. So just not to dilute users and ensure that the users that come to your platform stays in your platform. So the other one that Mintbase has done is sort of a mass listing tool for NFTs. That's in another widget that they've built. Once you connect with your wallet, it pulls all these sort of NFTs. What you can do is, you pick an NFT that you like, you put a price tag onto it, and you're able to list that in the marketplace from your front end. So that's pretty powerful. If you're only looking for specific use cases, for example, we see that this could be very sort of important for some of our partners. KeyPalm I've introduced this already. So what KeyPalm allows is you can actually put some, let's say, near into this contract, and you can send that near to users that don't have a near wallet yet. So if you want to give this functionality to your users within your application, you can go to their application on near.org, fork it, and put it into your website. And we see this as a sort of a very important part of our onboarding nature. The fact that we can onboard people first with a link, and then with crypto is something that we deeply care about. And the most important task, and that probably touches some of the AI sort of use cases as well, given Ilya's background in building these things. So we think Near Tasks is an important part of the blockchain operating system. It is sort of a platform that allows users to earn Near by completing simple tasks. One of the things we're excited about is image labeling. The problems that a lot of AI companies face today is to find good quality data. So what you can do is to basically enable crowdsourced data labeling. So any person that is, let's say, that can come to this platform, label an image, and if they actually label the image correctly, they can actually build a online sort of reputation that could live with their wallet or like their account, and they could leverage this to sort of like prove themselves as good quality or high quality image labelers, and they could get paid for that by with Near just instantly, rather than completing these tasks and waiting for the payment to come maybe at the end of the month. The other interesting sort of application is PikeSpeak. They have built a couple of data analytics tools on the Boss. What you can do is fork their existing components, plug in some of the .near accounts that you want to analyze, and you can instantly sort of analyze like proposals, treasury, members, also proposal research, anything that you think is relevant for a DAO contract, but also any other contract that you can think of. They're also live on near.org if you search PikeSpeak on the discovery. And Harmonic Guild, it's also another example that you can mint an NFT with a widget. What you can do is you take that widget, put it into your application, give it a title, and give it a description, and upload an image, and you can instantly allow users to mint NFTs as well. So leveraging the blockchain operating system, what does that mean? So why not get a gateway? So gateway, if you go back to the Near stack, gateway is just a website. What components can do is we can basically take the components that we like, and by composing these components, we can create a gateway that is simply a website. So why someone should run a gateway? Well, the most important thing is that it is easy and quick to integrate with your current front end. So you can actually find the greatest and best components, like the one I showed you from Mintbase, and easily have that ready to go to the market. There's also built-in automation. You don't have to sort of check somebody else's GitHub all the time to get the latest version. What Boss allows us to do with gateways is to render the latest component or an application that is built by the team that we think is sort of unique. The other parts is obviously if you run a gateway and that lives on the Near blockchain, it is just snapped into Near Discovery. So your application is visible to a larger audience. We also have the distribution channels, right? So all the Near ecosystem, let's say, can come and use your application, or if you built an API, they could leverage that API. And so we believe that it helps with traction. And finally, you can customize these things, right? So you can fork an existing app, and you can customize with your logo, your styles, and you can publish that easily, and you can easily go to market with the gateways. So why publish components? Any sort of partner building on the blockchain operating system, by doing so, they actually are they're becoming more visible. So this becomes a bit more of a new sales funnel for some of the companies. Mintbase, for example, is a good example. Now that Mintbase built a component, they actually have a new way of others interacting with their marketplace. This could also increase the user base. So having access to the whole Near ecosystem is better than just building your application in the silo. And obviously, we believe that this fosters some sort of ecosystem collaboration, similar to the culture that we have seen with open source. You can easily sort of build and publish components, but also consume other applications built by the ecosystem, or Pagoda, which is our technical arm. So what are the opportunities for you if you are building in Web3? Well, for all of our partners, that we see that sort of identifying some of the components from their existing application, and they could build it on the blockchain operating system with JavaScript, and then publish it. The other parts we see is if you're building in Web3 and crypto, we could see that some partners can integrate with FastAuth and Keepom for easy onboarding. And if you're building infrastructure, obviously, you can build gateways for others to consume the APIs and the smart contracts. And finally, we work with a lot of sort of agencies and developer shops that we think could leverage this to sort of standardize some of their development. Let's say if they're building NFT marketplaces all the time, they could build that component and get it ready to be used by other applications or their applications. They can also train their staff to become more familiar with the blockchain operating system for like future partner and client integrations. So there's two demos that I'd like to show if we have time, how blockchain operating system looks like today. So let me share my other screen. So this is how the near.org interface looks like today. So I'll sign up for the sake of showing how FastAuth works today. So what I can do is I will create an account. So creating an account is as easy as providing my email. I'll just provide my Near.Foundation email. Near also allows us to have named accounts, meaning you don't have to write this sort of complex username like 0x or any other public key to identify an account. So I can easily create, let's say, my name -5.near account that is available. I'll press continue. It will ask me to sort of create a passkey, and I'll provide my biometrics. You might not be able to see this, but I've provided my Touch ID. I'll go back to my email and sort of get that one done. I'll just sign in with my wallet now, since I don't have access to my near email in this computer, but mainly it will just log you in directly to the near.org sort of interface. Now, what happens is I can also go and find the future components. So let's say if somebody is building, let's say DevHub, built something, I can easily open this one. I can see how it's rendered, but if I go back, I can easily fork it. And by forking it, I can actually jump into this sort of sandbox. I can render the view. I can sort of say my first sort of DevHub Altan version of this one. I can confirm it. And I can save this version. So let's say v0, save. Now it's basically going to this contract called social.near and pushing the code that I've written before and saving this on a blockchain. I'll save this data. I'll have to obviously send a transaction. Now it'll confirm. Now the only thing I have to do is to publish. It will publish it on the blockchain. Publish meaning it will make it available for everybody to use this component. And now what I can do is I can go back to my profile, look at the components, and I can see the sort of this this widget here. And if I like to sort of see the history, there's been multiple commits. You can actually see the block IDs. So when it's been actually pushed on the chain, a lot of people come and create discussions, and I can sort of give more metadata about this component. So we can just say blockchain community day and give it a sort of we can give an icon, which is, you know, it could be an NFT that you like, or something that reminds us about the Dev Hub and the description, and the only thing we'll have to do is save the version and let's say gave it a name. So it looks a bit more like a GitHub configuration, but the cool thing is now if I go back to, let's say, discovery, this is only for the near part, for example, but if I go to discovery and applications, I can let's say Lido, which is a Ethereum, let's say Ethereum, maybe it's here, Ethereum maybe it's on the components. If I go Lido, and Lido is the staking protocol on Ethereum. So if I open this part, you can see that this frontend actually lives on Near. What I can do is I can go Lido, view details. Sort of, I can easily fork this application. So I can change, let's say, the smart contract that it's talking to on Ethereum, all the other cool stuff that you can do. So it is truly a multi-chain experience in sense that, you know, the front end lives on Near, but the back end is fully, like the block end, what we would say is like the blockchain end is living on the Ethereum side. So that is some sort of a unique experience. And obviously this near.org has social features too. You can find people here. That's already been 14,000 since its launch in April. So it's basically giving us sort of, and the gateways as well, what's being built, so that the website's being built on near.org. But yeah, this is sort of a short introduction to how we're envisioning about the future of the blockchain operating system. If I go back to the presentation, give me a second. I'll also share these ones. Again, some of the resources that is very useful to understand the blockchain operating system. Mainly, we have a very important video, Ilya talking about the blockchain operating system in ETH Denver. We have a longer technical workshop that Ilya has given us, and he highlighted some of the opportunities here. And the most important thing is the technical documentation that allows some of our partners or yourselves to get started on building on here. So that's. Yeah, so if you have, I can open this up to questions now, given there's a lot of content. I'd love to hear what people think and what would be those questions.
Yep, so there is one question from YouTube. Alex Talon is asking if you have something like a knowledge base on a very basic level for everything that you've presented today.
Yeah, so I'll share these slides with you guys. The main thing is probably the documentation, but this is how it looks like today, right? So the onboarding side, which is sort of the authentication, like the ability to be able to sign in. The gateway side is more of the website, right? So any website that lives on the internet would just go in this bucket. The discovery side, which is more of composable front ends, right? So you can build these components, and those components, when they're combined, they create gateways. The data platform is more of the how to take like API layer, basically taking all the sort of data from blockchains and having it available for gateways to use it. And finally, sort of the blockchains, which is the smart contract logic. But more light touch ones, also review. Let me actually find that one. So here's the link. I'll provide this on the. I'll provide this on the sort of private chat. Maybe they could be shared later. But mainly, there's like a boss overview there as well. Any other questions?
Not that I can find at this time. If there are any that will pop up post talk, I'm sure we will pass them on to you so you can get answers. Thank you, Altan, so much for being with us today. And everybody, thank you for staying tuned. And please also stay tuned for the next presentation. Does your wallet secure?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Welcome.